Hey everybody, Daniel Hyde from Honest Tai Chi and Core Thai Massage. The video today that I'm filming is to illustrate exercises that every single massage therapist and especially table Thai massage therapists should be doing on a regular basis to help them improve and also to strengthen their body just to be able to do the practice. All right. If you have a solid martial art practice, hit that for sure, stay on top of that. That'll help you out a lot, especially if it's grappling based. So if you do any sort of Greco-Roman wrestling, or if you're doing any sort of MMA practice, everything in there will help out a lot. If you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, hey, that's great, even better. Definitely keep up with your joint locks and your alignments there. All of the work of grappling arts will help you astronomically when it comes to the ability to do your stretches, and it'll make things very seamless for you. When you're doing striking arts, like say boxing, kickboxing, etc., whenever you're training to have good impact, that same type of alignment for impact is what you want to have while you're doing work. So whenever you're throwing your punches, make sure that you're keeping your elbows close, you're letting your body spiral through, and you're making sure that you're pointing with the right area of the fist and the right knuckles in order for you to be able to align your structure back so the impact doesn't come back into your body. Whenever you are doing massage, it is the same thing. When you're hitting something, hitting that thing will always remind you immediately if your alignment is good or bad. When you're doing massage, we're going a lot slower. So that slow movement, the alignment should be the same as if I'm striking as far as the natural relaxation of my arm. I should be using my torso and my body to be able to initiate and keep that pressure and direct that pressure. These exercises will help with that a lot. So the very first one is learning how to extend and open the spine. So the first thing that we learn in Tai Chi is that the hips should be tucked, so that way my waistband, or really my ilium and my hips should be like a bowl that holds my internal organs. If your hips are, too far with an anterior tilt, then it's as if your organs are kind of hanging this way. If you have too far of a posterior tilt, then same kind of thing, that's bad for your spine, and then you're not going to be able to stabilize appropriately. So the very first thing to work on to fix is you have to be able to have a good posture, so your hips are pointing down, so that way you can actually stay settled. Then you want to point up with your ears in order to elongate the spine from the top and sink from the bottom. Okay, so here, no good. Here, also no good. Right there, that's good. When you're here, the next piece other than the hips and the extending up is rib cage. If your rib cage is slouched back, no good. If your rib cage is popped forward, also no good. You want to be level and straight. That's good. When you're here, head forward, no good. Head back, also no good. Right over the shoulders and the hips and the feet is good. Now, when you're doing your work, you want to take this straight line and angle it. So when I'm on the table, when I'm here, I have my alignments straight up. Then I angle at the hips, folding to be able to place my hands. From there, you relax your legs and let your legs be soft. You can hold this in a type of pseudo plank position for around 1 minute to train to develop those alignments. All right, now that you guys have a sideways view, I'm going to face the camera. When you're here, same thing, feet roughly about shoulder width. The closer to the table you are, the easier this is going to be. The farther back, the more difficult it's going to be. So if I just want an easy kind of shoulder relaxation type of work, you can come touching the table. Again, hinge at the hips, place the hands, point with the knuckles first, and then let your spine extend, relax the legs. So you're supporting yourself on your arms. From there, you can start to shift the weight, all the weight on one side, shake an arm out. All the weight on the other side, shake an arm out. Come back. You can walk back and walk forward. Back, forward. Take an arm, shake the other arm out. Take the other arm, shake it out. Then you can also lift a foot, relax, come to the other foot, relax, come back. Work your way back, stand, come back, work your way forward. Come back, stand, work your way forward. And then just play around. Give yourself a certain amount of repetitions, or you can just set a timer for time. I always like to follow the timer method because that tends to help me be able to really focus and hone in on what I'm doing. Okay, so that's for the arms. To loosen the arms, you're here. You can let your rib cage sink and relax down. Let your shoulder blades support, soften the rest of the body. Then you can just go back and forth, just with the shoulders at first, pointing with the knuckles, then be able to go one side, just the shoulder, and the other side. Then of course, once you're here as well, you can do push-ups, down and up, which are significantly easier than going on the floor. And this will help you be able to keep that work while you're using the table. Push-ups on the floor, a little bit harder, but again, this translates directly to your work. When you're doing, let's see here. So that brings me to the next piece. With the medicine ball, you want to be able to reach down, grab, and then lift up. So a majority of people's arms and limbs, whether it's, some people's legs, if they're a little bit bigger, will have a bit more weight. Usually people's arms and people's head tend to be roughly around 10-ish pounds or so, but again, that varies by weight. So the more weight you can lift while you're doing deadlifts, keeping proper spinal posture, the better off it's going to be for you. Good things to train with would be like, say, a 10-pound medicine ball. So here, again, keeping in mind that whole lift, letting your ears extend up as you do these lifts, letting your sacrum sink down will help you out a lot. So the sinking of the sacrum down, keeping the spine solid, will help you to be able to lift a lot easier, and then just keep the arms nice and relaxed. So you should be able to kind of swing back and forth here and just keep a hold in the grip here. We're going to do a couple of different exercises here with the ball to help you with hand stabilization as well as with your ability to lift a person's limb and transition from one stretch into another. So, simple deadlift. I'm going to demonstrate from the side with, again, this is about a 10-pound ball. So from here, I'm just placing it on the ground. Again, notice how I hinge at my hips and let my knees support myself. I'm not caving my back in or my rib cage in any way. Straight down, straight up. Imagine as if somebody's lifting you from your ears. hinge, up, back down, up, here. Then you can also work here, spiral it up, press, come back, spiral, down. From here, spiral it up, press, come back, down. Here, spiral it up, press, come back, and down. Here, spiral it up, press, come back, and down. The spiral is important because when you're lifting somebody's leg, sometimes you lift here, and then as you're transitioning, you turn to then push the heel forward as you're moving forward. When you're lifting the ball, you work this, come up to here, exactly the same arm position, spiral, and then press. This will help you be able to balance and control your wrist better as you're making these transition movements. And down. Back down. Okay, so those will help you with the lifting of any limb as well as the transitioning into the movement for the stretch. All right. If you don't have the ability to stabilize with the forearms and your hands, then that's going to make things a good bit more difficult for you as you're doing your massage. So again, when you're doing the plank movements, it's important to be able to point through your knuckles as you're planking and as you're doing your push-ups or your switches and loosening up. So you're pointing with your knuckles with a soft wrist, keeping your wrist straight. You do not want to be here, and you definitely don't want to be here either. So make sure that that straight wrist is what you're working with, okay? Another qigong to help you with this is Wun Sao. I have a full instructional video on that I send my students with their course paperwork, but just quickly, Wun Sao, I'll do a single repetition, and then, you know, in the video I'll put, okay, you know, protocols with that. So we're here, feet together. Let me back up a little bit. So here, feet together, bend the knees, tuck the hips, stretch, grip, inhale, come back. Watch the hands intentfully, pull down, press up, pull out, push in, rotate, rotate, press down, inhale. All right, there it is. Continuing on. A lot of table Thai massage technique requires you to come up onto the table and to come off of the table safely. There are a few different things to pay attention to while you are doing this. The farther out you step from the table, the more unstable you are going to be. So it is important as you're coming up and coming down, you have the strength and ability in your glutes as well as the strength and ability in your thighs to be able to have a smooth transition to come up and a smooth transition to come down. That is why I recommend doing these, at least 10 of them a day, if not more, okay? So you're going to be coming through here at the edge of the table and then standing up and then keeping your back leg in contact with the table as you come up and then just place. Then come back down on the other side, or on the same side. Again, bring the foot to the side of the table, let yourself lower, and control all the way down to the floor. Then switch, same thing, come up, take your time, let yourself control, come up, place, come back, slide down. Again, controlling every time that you come up. Then, once you have the feel and the hang of this, then you can work different ways of coming up and coming down off of the table. So side to side. And of course, working your way coming back. Okay. Ideally, then of course here front as well. That's not one that I would do while I'm working on a client, but again, to train your proprioception and your ability, it is important to work this. There are going to be some times where you are coming down in this way, say if I have a stretch or something, and I'm holding their leg as I'm coming out to the side. When I step off, I can hook their knee, and then right here, I'm coming right into a seated position to work their leg, okay? So again, these are still movements that are important for you to be able to have your control, your finesse, and your ability to smoothly transition on and off of the table, because you're gonna be working in different ways, okay? Now, one of the things that you do not want to have happen ever is while you're working on a client, for you to lose your balance and then fall off the table. Or for, in worst case scenario, you to fall off the table and then injure your client, okay? So having the prerequisite strength in your hips, your legs, and those sorts of things will help you to be able to make that transition much more smooth, and also will help you keep your client safe, because you're going to be keeping, like one of our principles, greater leverage at all times, superior leverage at all times. So you always want to have that, and having an adequate strength in your own body to stabilize yourself is a prerequisite for that. Then the alignment piece and the rest of that will help you out astronomically, okay? Which leads me into my next exercise. So the next exercise is learning how to extend the joints to be able to apply pressure in a particular direction, whether it's up, down, in, out, whatever it is, okay? When we are doing our standing meditation, we're striving for 8 directions of force at all times. Those 8 directions of force should be through every joint, in every joint, and in every direction as we will it, okay? So the idea in all of Qigong, really in all of Chinese medicine, is intention moves the Qi, which moves the blood. Another way to say that is you intend to do something, you do it, in doing that thing, it brings results. So intention is, again, the ideas, the alignments, and so on, is what we always start with. The doing piece is connecting the two. The result piece, or the blood piece, is our effect on our client, is another way to look at that. So when we're going here, we want to be able to relax and connect onto something, let our body release, and then be able to, in a relaxed way, let the body open up like a spring. So here my intention is connection. I'm relaxing into wherever my hand is going. Then I release my body more. As I release my body more, a spring gets built up. And you can see my elbow and my shoulder blade and my hips letting go and my leg letting go. Then when I let that springiness get in there, then I release through my fingertips. And then that is what is bouncing me off, is the releasing through the fingertips. When I'm here, if I'm pointing with my knuckles, it is the same thing. My knuckles are placed on the windowsill. My wrist and my body is releasing. So I have a spring. My hips are letting go. And same thing. From here, release, let your body bounce off of that. Here, spring it, release, body comes off. Here, release, and spring, body comes off. So this is potential actualization. So what that is that really is that yin and yang. So in everything that you do, you should have a release and then an ability to go in. A release and an ability to go in. Release, in, release, in, release, in. Every time that we are pressing, whether it's palm presses and so on, you have that ability to release, direct, release, direct, release, direct, release, direct, okay? As you're working on your clients, being how well I can release myself will help me help them better, always, all right? These exercises will help you build a foundation to be able to apply that, all right? Let's see. So we've covered step up, step downs, we've covered deadlifts, we've covered pushes, we've covered hand walking, we've covered releasing, we've covered Wun Sao. Okay, the next piece is the standing practice. When you are practicing your standing meditation, have your feet shoulder width apart. So the outside edge of your shoulder is where the outside edge of your feet should be. Then from there, establish that neutral hip position that will cause your knees to bend slightly. You should feel pressure just behind the ball of your foot. After you have that, then from there you release, let your spine extend up through the ears, and then you can bring the hands up just like we do in Tai Chi. Inhale, exhale, fingertips, to feel that extension, opening from the spine first. Inhale, the wrists come back. Exhale, the wrists come down. Inhale, the elbows come out. Exhale, relax and release. From here, you can stand for an extended period of time. I always recommend that people start off with at least a minute and then move their way up into 3 minutes, and then 5 minutes, and 15, up to 30. So the two different standing postures that I teach in my classes for massage therapists, first is this one. This is the Wuji posture. From here, you bring the hands up as if you are hugging a tree and carrying a ball. The ball here is this round circle in between your arms and your fingertips. Your fingertips should be exactly in front of one another, with the wrists in front of the shoulders. Then from here, if the elbows are too high, then you're dropping that ball down the center. If they're too far in, then it's rolling off the sides. So the idea is you want to have a 45-degree angle of the shoulders that will allow you to release from the ear to shoulder. Then the extension of the fingertips, imagining as if they're connected one to the other, is what will help you establish that ball type feeling. Another thing that you can think of is as if you have a ball underneath your armpits, and like you're kind of sitting on one and you have one supporting in between your knees. You want to have your knees directly over kidney 1 of both feet which is that bubbling springs point on the bottom of the feet. Your weight should also be there. You do not want to be on one side or on the other for the sake of this exercise. And then you just relax. After you've established a solid bit of relaxation from being here for a bit, then you can start to work the different directions. Start to feel as if you're able to press forward without moving, and then start to feel as if you're able to press backwards, again without moving, keeping those alignments in. Then feel as if you can press inwards, as if you're bringing your hands together without allowing them to move, and then feeling as if you can press outwards, as if bringing your hands away from one another, again without moving. Then from there you can go and feel as if you can press upwards, so as if you can press your hands and all of the joints of your body up towards the ceiling, and as if you can press all of them down towards the floor. So once you have that ability to feel as though you can press forward, backwards, up, down, in, and out, then you can start to work spiraling. So spiraling in as if your pinky is coming towards you and your thumb is going away, and then as well as spiraling out as if your thumb is coming in and your pinky is going away. Again, try to establish all of these feelings and all of these stacked alignments without moving. Whenever you finish your practice for the day, again, bring the hands out, fingertips up, hands in, and then relax down. You can expand out through the elbows again, and then release. Once you relax completely, then you can go ahead and shake it out. Again, I recommend that people start with 1 minute, moving to 3 minutes, moving to 5 minutes, then tacking on 5 each 3-week period until you reach 15, 20, up to 30 max, and then go from there. All right. It is a really, really good practice, and in my opinion, the standing meditation piece is an essential piece to every single thing that we do in massage and every single thing that we do, especially when it comes to acupressure and working the different meridians and the different points along those meridians. When you can have that feeling of forward movement through all the joints, backwards movement through all the joints, inward movement through all the joints, outward movement through all the joints, then upwards movement through all the joints, and downwards movement through all the joints, then that spiraling in and that spiraling out, then you can really, really, really enact a lot of change, because that is the small types of changes that you have to flow through the different meridians in the body. So as you're drawing those lines through your own body, you're also tracing and training yourself to trace the meridians inside of a single person, right? And then once you can work those, then you can start to then begin to establish and change that shape and that flow of chi in their body. Without that tactile sensation, that feeling, that awareness, and that physical ability to do it in yourself, it is then impossible for you to be able to do that in your clients. Every single thing you do has to be internal inside of you first. Then you can then take that and bring that towards your clients and towards the people that you're trying to help or do anything with. All right. It is the same martial art as well as healing. So with martial art, if I'm trying to punch and establish a really good solid hit and direct that hit in a certain way to whiplash your opponent, or to move that into a grapple for a throw or a trip, it's the same kind of dynamic and the same feeling that you're trying to wrap inside and in your body to get it into their body. When I'm doing massage, it is exactly the same thing. Now, when you're doing massage, it's a little bit easier. You have to be a lot more gentle, but again, it's just that flip side of the same coin. When you're practicing martially, you're sparring or moving, it's very active, very high, high level, very yang, right? When you're doing the healing, when you're relaxing, it's very low. You gotta relax more. Develop your listening, develop your awareness to feel inside the person's body where things are blocked, where things are having a hard time. And without that tactile sensation and training that sensitivity and sensation inside of yourself, it then becomes impossible to do that outside with anybody else, right? I'm not talking about no touch stuff. I'm literally talking about feeling and then actually entering into another person's meridians and another person's alignments into their body. How can we shift their muscles? How can we shift their bones? How can we change this, change that, stretch this, stretch that? Give them enough leeway to allow this troubled area that's holding on to so much to release, right? That takes a little bit of nuance there. Okay, so first you have to develop that feeling in you. Then you can then take that and use that with somebody else. Okay, another couple of them. Swing arms front to back, as well as swing legs are extremely important. So the swing arms front to back, you start off with your feet, again, shoulder width, body weight relaxed. Whenever you're doing your standing meditation, I would always recommend hit the standing meditation first. Do these as a cool down afterwards, or you can even do these as a warm up as well. So you can do the Tai Chi, commencement as a good warm up for your standing practice, okay? And then you can use the swing legs portion as well to warm up the legs for the standing, the swing arms as well to warm up the arms for the standing. Okay, so here you start off with your arms at shoulder height, release and relax. As the hands come back, let them flick. A couple of things. When you're coming forward, flick the fingertips to the front. When you're coming back, flip the fingertips to the back, flick them. So when I'm coming up to the front, here, I'm keeping my head at the same place and I'm flicking my hands to the front. When I come back, I'm flicking them to the back. What tends to happen more often than not is that people will try to control the shoulders here instead of letting them release. When you let the shoulders release, then you're able to actually let the arms go and let them relax. This is an essential and important piece to every movement that we do where we're manipulating a person's limb. If I cannot dictate and guide and direct the movement of my body from my dantian and from my hips and my core, then it is going to be much more difficult for me to move another person's limb in order to help them open up their body. So when you're here, try to keep that feeling in the core and let the arms reach a weightless state at the height and at the rear. Now, you do not want to let your head jump forward as you're doing this. This is no good. That's bad. You want to stay extended up and sunk down here. Okay, swing arms number 2. You want to turn the hips, keeping the spine upright, let the arms turn. So you're tapping the front of the thigh and the hip in the rear. Again, the focus here is on letting the arms go and letting the arms relax. It is just a turn of the torso and a turn of the body that is releasing and letting go of the arms. And again, from the side, do not only do shoulders. That's no good. You want to be here. Hips, hips, hips. Once you have the feeling for that, you can add a little oomph and bring the arms up. It is the elbows touching the core that brings the arms up. It is not. That's no good. You want to be here, body, body, once you have the feel for this, you can bring the hands higher to the chest. Here. Again, it's the hips. And then same thing up to here. Move your head out of the way a little bit, or you can even keep it straight. But again, the movement is from the hips. All right, then we come back all the way down and release. That is the swing arms exercises. Swing legs. Find a spot on the wall. Whatever side is on the wall, leg comes up, and then use your hand to push the knee down. This will loosen the hips, and you want to make sure your toes are still facing the front. Nice and relaxed. Then to do front and to the side, then you bring your hand that is assisting here to the wall, point your toes to the wall. Toes up, toes to the wall. Toes up, toes to the wall. And then you relax. And then obviously, what you do on one side, you would do on the other. All right. So that concludes all of our foundational exercises for Thai massage therapists and Chinese massage therapists. There's a lot of other work with hand techniques, but I will film that video next time.